This conference will now be recorded.
Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you may be. Welcome to today's presentation on B2B2C Identity Graphing, a new technology that's helping B2B marketers tap into the digital ecosystem in ways that were never before possible. Hi, I'm Chris Matty, founder and Chief Revenue Officer of Versium Analytics. I've spent virtually my entire career within data and data technology, going back to the turn of the century when we pioneers bringing the white and yellow pages online at InfoSpace through till today. I've seen the evolution of internet advertising from content-based advertising to where we're at today, where vast volumes of data is being used to help marketers target their advertising in the most effective ways possible. At Versium, we're focusing on helping B2B marketers do the same thing, to be able to tap into technologies to identify, understand, and more effectively reach their ideal prospecting customers with digital advertising. Today, we're going to talk about the evolution of ad tech, where it came from, and how it led to where we're at today, where, as I say, thousands and thousands of attributes are used for ad targeting. The evolution of the identity graph and how that's dramatically changed advertising technology and ability to target folks. And then we're going to get into the B2B marketer's dilemma, where the entire ad tech ecosystem was designed for marketing to consumers. The B2B marketer has been left out in the cold. Then after that, we'll get into B2B2C identity graphing and how that is changing this ecosystem in ways that promise to help B2B marketers do their job more effectively than they've ever been able to do before. And then lastly, we'll wrap up with a little introduction on Versium Reach, a new product we've launched to help B2B marketers most effectively accomplish their objectives of reaching their target audience throughout the digital ecosystem. So let's get started. Early on, when the internet first arose, it was all about targeting advertising based upon the content that was being viewed. It's interesting. Netscape owned the pipe with the browser. They had the first touch point to the internet, and then they sold the space to Yahoo, the Yahoo guide or the Netscape guide powered by Yahoo. That's what really built Yahoo into one of the most highly trafficked site on the internet. And then this concept of buying things online arose, and Yahoo launched a shopping section within their website. And Amazon, who had just raised tons of money, bought out all rights to promote Amazon within Yahoo, the most trafficked site online. Amazon was born. During this whole period of time, AOL existed. It was really the first walled gardens that existed on the internet, long before Facebook existed. And they controlled everything the user saw. So throughout this period, it was all about the content that were on these different sites, whether it was a search engine where people were searching for different things, and then the portal came about to be where people would come and look at different content. Depending on what they looked at, ads would get served. The concept of an identity graph did not exist. It was strictly advertising based upon the content on the sites as we were in this first phase of the internet. Then came cookies. What a magical technology. Cookies tracked everything the browser sees. So that means when you visit an Expedia because you're interested in travel, or you go to Charles Schwab because you're interested in trading, or maybe you visit Ford's website, a cookie is dropped on your browser and it tracks your browsing activity. So now the cookie remembers that you visited a travel site, that you visited an online trading site, that you visited Ford. So now advertisers that want to advertise based upon that content can put ads on all of your browsing, not just when you're at Expedia, Schwab, or Ford, but now when you visit Ford, and then you go on and you look at thousands and thousands of page views over the next coming days, weeks, months. The browser remembers you're at Ford's website, and anybody that wants to put an ad in front of you because of your interest in Ford or trucks can now put that ad in front of you across the full activity of your trading. So this greatly increased the amount of ad inventory that was able to be exposed in a targeted fashion. But it was all browser-based, not people-based, which means it was what the computer was doing and only relevant to the content within the sites that were visited. The inventory was greatly expanded, but there still was not perfect targeting. Then the idea graph started to emerge, and things got very interesting. Now, because there's so many sites and different places to log in, now when a person would log into a site and they put their email address in, or they put their name in, or they put their physical address in, the cookie not only gets associated with the content on the site, but it now has some identity data. An email is an identity data. A first name, last name, and an address identifies a consumer in a household. A phone number can identify a person. So now the concept of the cookie being mapped to an identity parameter unlocks all sorts of possibilities. Specifically, companies emerged that can take that identity data, an email address, a phone number, a first name, last name, and an address, and they can associate a different data attributes to that identity. Census Bureau data has been out for a long time, where we know the demographic profiles of people in different geographies. So if you've got an address, you can start getting a sense of the people in that location. Or if you've got an email address and you can decipher who that person is, there's all sorts of data out there in the world from an offline perspective of attributes that are associated to that person. So now that cookie, which is associated to an identity data element, can be taken offline, and someone can do some mapping where they take that first name, last name, and an address or an email, and they will associate to that specific identity parameter demographics, financial details. Do you own or rent? What type of cars you drive? What is your offline purchasing behavior? What type of things do you like to do online? And now those attributes can be used for targeting, not just site content. So now you have the perfect world, where somebody has massive inventory based on what they viewed online and the ability for the cookie to track it, combined with other data attributes that can be associated to the person, either them individually or the household. Now you've got tremendously powerful ability to target advertising based upon all of these attributes as it may relate to propensity to buy and interests. But there was a problem that started to emerge. Data is messy. There are errors in entry. People put in the wrong email addresses. There's synthetic identities that get created, and then there's the bot problem, where robots are driving clicks and robots are driving page views. At one point, I read somewhere that up to 40% of internet advertising is not even being put in front of a real human being because of this bot problem. So let's talk about some of these challenges with identity graphing that sits at the core of internet advertising, and really what's caused a massive shift away from cookies to more of a powerful identity graph because of bad data, because of robots, because of these things, which frankly ends up resulting in millions of dollars of ad spend being wasted because it's not being targeted to a relevant person, it's not being targeted to a real person. If you take email, for example, simple form to fill in where you're able to now associate all these great targeting attributes. If someone forgets to hit shift 2, they don't get an at symbol. Or maybe they forgot the dot in .com, they put a comma in, or it's a bad domain. There is all kinds of bad data that emerges when people do entry errors. And this is one of the problems that needs to be solved when running a good identity graph. Poor standardization. Sometimes you see an address in 3 or 4 fields, sometimes it's in 1 field. Is it spelled Saint, S-T, S-A-I-N-T? Is it New York City, N-Y-C, N-Y? And if you're using standard database technologies that look for string mapping, if you've got a non-map because of the different standardization, you can't find that person, you can't associate the data, and where you might be able to associate a piece of demographic information, which means that we can identify this person and they're a prime target, but if you can't identify them because of poor data standardization, you can't associate the targeting data. Fake identities and bots. And this is one that's proliferated throughout the world when it comes to driving impressions for the purpose of generating ad dollars. But if it's a robot that's clicking, searching, crawling, there's an immense amount of traffic out there that is just not a person. Nobody's going to click through and buy that's a robot. You're really wanting to advertise to real people, real humans, real consumers. Bots create a big problem with that. Probably one of the most interesting one is just the concept of identity resolution. For you to associate targeting parameters and targeting data in a way that's most effective, first you have to find that person. It has to be a real person. But what if that person has a common name, like Bob Smith, or it could be Rob Smith, or Robert Smith, or R. Smith? That might all be the same person, but if you want to associate data to them, you need an effective mechanism to make sure you found the right person. By combining a name with an address, with an IP, with a lat long, with maybe a mobile ID, the more identity data you pull together and you have good matching algorithms, you can deterministically verify that you found the actual person you're looking for, and you can now associate data to that person, and now you can start doing ad targeting to that person. Compliance. That's another problem in today's day and age. Data privacy is a big issue. You have to have authorized rights in certain regions to be able to use a consumer data asset, approval of rights, authorized rights, a centralized management system that allows a company to opt out consumers who desire for their data to not be used, which means you have to suppress that data. Well, how do you know to take out an attribute if it's Bob Smith that wants you to not use their data? You better have a very powerful ID graph with ID resolution that can find that person and effectively take that data out of your system so you can maintain compliance. And then throughout this, encryption and security is crucial towards maintaining a centralized identity graph to be able to handle all of these things so that you can truly unlock the value in digital advertising using this type of data. Data normalization, strong identity resolution, identity validation, privacy and regulation. These are the most important things in running a powerful identity graphing technology. It has to be able to standardize and normalize data so you can improve your match rate. Identity resolution, when it comes to identifying a person, a household, a business person, that resolution is key to make sure that you're finding the actual person and that you validate that that's a real person. The ID graph has been key to the growth of the internet advertising over the past few years. Projections are that advertising, digital online advertising as an industry will grow to $84 billion by 2023. That's a very large growth, very large numbers, lots of money being spent on digital advertising. And the confidence that those ad dollars are being spent towards real people, where the targeting is appropriate, where you're going to see strong ROI from those marketing dollars is crucial. And the ID graph has been key to that. It's been a key element to everything that's occurred to this point in time as we've evolved from content-based targeting to true people-based targeting based upon not only the content they view, but who they are, what are their propensities, what are their desires. If there's kids in the household, you might want to promote kids. What if they're very young kids? Maybe it's a product for babies. All of these data attributes that you can associate effectively and with confidence to an identity allow advertisers to most effectively target their audience. The concept of sharing identifiers anonymously now is becoming hugely important in the day of data security and of consumer concern over privacy. Cross-device attribution. The average person now has 5 or 6 different devices that they touch the internet. It might be their smart TV, it might be their laptop, it might be their phone or their tablet. And to be able to cross-index those devices with identity graphs that allow you to maximize the ad impression in a targeted fashion across the full spectrum of the digital touchpoints is crucial. And now a personalized view of the consumer to do that. Now notice everything I've talked about so far has been consumer oriented. And the reason is that the entire ad tech ecosystem and technology that sits underneath it has been built primarily to market to consumers, not to business people. B2B marketers have been left out in this system. So if you want to market to business decision makers, how do you do that? It's a challenge. The biggest challenge is everything I've shared today about cookies that track profiles and that are mapped to entity data. Cookies are mostly tied to a person's personal email addresses. If you take LinkedIn, for example, now that's a business site, where business people network. The interesting thing is that 75% of LinkedIn profiles are mapped to a person's personal email address, i.e. cdmatty@yahoo, not their business email address, cmatty@Versium. So if you've got a list of business decision makers, like maybe you want to market to directors in hire, marketing, people with marketing job functions within the technology industry, you might have a list of 200,000 business decision makers. You can upload that into LinkedIn. You can upload that list into Facebook and put ads in front of those people. The problem is those addresses will not map to a profile because most of the data in those systems are consumer oriented. If you want to market to those people on Facebook where there's tremendous opportunity to put ads in front of people and you've got a list of business decision makers, you're going to get a very low match rate or match to those profiles so that ads can appear to those 300,000 marketers. You may only be able to find 10% of them on Facebook or LinkedIn. And the same thing on broader digital advertising through the cookie targeting system that we discussed earlier. So what is a B2B marketer to do? Well, go to market, the traditional B2B go to market is you buy this list. It has phone numbers, hopefully they're good phone numbers, and you call and you call and you call and you follow up with email and you do a lot of cold calling with your inside BDR sales rep. Grueling job for that person and very difficult to reach the target audience because people just are not on their phone that often. They're not wanting to talk to a sales rep. And if you do get it, most of the people listening out here in this presentation, I'm sure you've got an unsolicited call. And what's the average time before you end up hanging up when you get a call such as that? So what emerged was marketing automation, a fancy way of really saying, let's spam everybody with email. So what you do, you email and you email and you email, and hopefully you create content that drives compelling reason for someone to click through and watch a webinar or view some materials. I don't know about anybody else, but I get so many emails with so many different gimmicks trying to get me to click through and to fill out a lead form so that somebody can then call me because they believe I have an intent or an interest in whatever they may be looking to promote to me. So phone and email is what the B2B marketer has had to rely on to fill the top of the funnel with leads to close business deals and sales. Oh, and of course, trade shows, more traditional events such as that. Well, there's a solution. And that solution is the B2B2C Identity Graph. Let's talk about what that really means. So when you have an identity graph that has the ability to associate personal or consumer identity data to the business person, now you can tap into all of that ad inventory throughout the digital ecosystem that the B2C marketers have been doing for years. And this is a non-trivial activity of taking a list of a business person and their business name and their business email, and effectively and accurately mapping it to other entity data that can be used to tap into the cookie pool for inventory, to the social platforms for inventory, to where the ad spend is occurring, because that's where the people are active online. So that is exactly what we've done with our identity graph, which is one of our core technologies that we're allowing B2B marketers to access, and we'll get to that in the future. But let's talk about how it works. You can take a list of, say, 1,600 or 16,000 or 160,000 business people you want to market to. Maybe these are at specific companies you want to target, or maybe it's a filtered list based upon their job title and function, your ideal customer profile. Well, if you upload that list into Facebook or LinkedIn, you're going to have a very hard time putting ads in front of those people to build an awareness campaign in concert with other go-to-market activities. But if you have an effective B2B2C identity graph, you can add up to 7,000 additional contact points to a list of, say, 1,600 people. That means we're adding multiple additional email addresses, phone numbers, physical addresses, and other attributes that are mapped to the core targeting parameters that are available throughout the ad tech ecosystem. This effectively completely changes the game in terms of how a B2B marketer can launch a digital campaign effectively to build awareness, to get messaging out, to drive content, all to help grow the top of the funnel for their B2B sales channel. So let's take a look at how well this works. So as I mentioned, if you take a list of business decision makers that you want to market to and you upload that into Facebook, because they'll allow you to upload a list of specific people you want to target, they'll only find about 11% of those people. In the case of LinkedIn, it's a little higher, 54%. Google, it's 30%. Broader programmatic digital, it sits around 30%, 28%. After you overlay B2B2C identity data and all of this consumer household information that's used regularly out in the B2C marketing world, now you can actually use these platforms to target your business decision makers. With Facebook, it goes from 11% all the way up to 82%. LinkedIn, you can go from 54% to 78%. Google, 13% to 85%, and broader digital programmatic display from 28 to 72%. The B2B marketers who have tried to reach their target audience through digital advertising it hasn't worked because they haven't been able to effectively target the right people. With B2B2C identity graphing and the wealth of additional data, which is the same data that's used to target consumers, and the ability to associate to a business target audience is a game changer. Not only can you reach your audience more effectively through digital advertising, a business audience, but this consumer data that you can also associate gives a great understanding of who the person is, who the human is behind their title. They may be a VP of marketing, but are they a male, female? What's their age? Do they have kids? This helps you customize your creative. You might have a different creative for a male versus a female, or a different creative for someone that's in a certain age group, or maybe they have an interest, or maybe they went to a certain school. So just like the B2C marketers can gain insights from consumer data attributes, the B2B marketer can do the same thing to not only identify and reach, but understand who the person is and tailor their creatives more effectively to that use case. The COVID effect. Here we are giving a presentation to a computer. I would normally be speaking to an audience of people. It's different speaking to an empty screen for sure, but that's because we're in COVID and people are working from home. People are not going into the office. And that makes it even more difficult to reach the business people you want to promote your products and services to. It's more important now than ever to be able to reach a business decision maker across the full spectrum of digital touch points, whether they're in the office, at home, in the park, on their phone, or on whatever social media platform they might be involved in. They're still a business person. They still may have interest in what your messaging is, but you need to be able to find the specific people that you're looking for across this full spectrum. And so with our current normal of people not being in the office, it's now even more important to be able to reach them digitally across all the different touch points, regardless of where their physical location is. And B2B2C identity graphing allows for this to occur. So now you've learned a little bit of the history of the internet, how cookies emerged to really unlock targeting in a B2C world, how the identity graph and identifying a specific person and being able to associate data to that person allows for very, very good targeting, but that the B2B marketer missed out on all of those. But with B2B2C identity graphing, now they can tap into the same wealth of targeting capabilities that B2C marketers have been doing for years. So we've built a product at Versium called Versium Reach. It's specifically designed to help B2B marketers more effectively reach their target audience, leveraging our underlying technology and our identity graph, our B2B2C identity graph, which leverages vast volumes of consumer data to be able to extend the reach of business target audiences. This identity graph taps into hundreds and hundreds of millions of literally 2 billion different identity parameters, email addresses, phone numbers, physical addresses, and our ID graph matching technology can associate those in a deterministic fashion to those business target audiences to construct a B2B audience that you most effectively want to target. It's an easy to use platform. You access the data via self-serve interface. You can upload a list and we can enrich it with consumer data and encrypt it so that all of the PII is controlled for privacy. We give you visualization on the characteristics of the people, the firmographics on the business within the list, and then you get to own that audience and market it wherever you'd like. Tremendously improves your ability to build awareness on your target audience. So let's talk about a few of these. Visualize your data. A lot of people will gather a list of business people they want to market to, whether it's a list from a trade show, or maybe they purchased a list from D&B or Zoom Info, and they've got a list of business people. Well, what about the firmographic characteristics about the companies those people work with, and what about the demographic characteristics of the people? Who are these people that you're looking to market to? With any set of data that we work with in our product, we give powerful visualizations on the firmographics and demographics of that list. That allows for more effective segmentation into different sub-audiences that have similar characteristics that you may want to tune your message to. A key thing here is that you own the audience with Versium Reach, which means once we construct this very rich identity graph set of data of business people, you can take that same audience and upload it to LinkedIn, upload it to Facebook, upload it to Google. If you went to Facebook and try to tap in and use their tools, which are primarily consumer oriented, you don't know who you're marketing to. And you certainly can't reinforce that same message through a different platform like LinkedIn. Who knows who you're marketing to there? With our system, we give you the audience. You can upload it to Facebook, you can upload it to LinkedIn, you can import it and target on Google. And soon we'll be turning on the system to drop it right into your account at all these platforms, so there's no upload necessary. In each case, the data is formatted for each platform for optimal match rate, and of course enriched with all sorts of B2C data that can be mapped to profiles and cookies. Better targeting is the key here, is knowing who your ideal customer is, segmenting them by different demographics and characteristics for creatives, and being able to make sure you're marketing to those specific people and nobody else. And that really is the key to digital targeting to get the best ROI for your marketing spend. And that's the key, marketing ROI. How can you spend a marketing budget in a way that increases your conversion rates in the sales process as the target goes throughout the funnel? It starts with filling the top of the funnel with the most relevant leads or prospects, because you've identified your target customers, you know who the specific people are, and you know your ads are appearing in front of just those people and nobody else, no robots. You know exactly where the marketing dollar is going, and you have total control over that. So let's just see how well this works. One of our SaaS companies increased their online campaign reach by over 320%, meaning they were able to reach that much more of their target audience they were trying to reach. We helped T-Mobile increase their marketing response rate by 350% in the B2B in their business division, because they're able to launch effective digital campaigns to business audiences. For customers of ours who want to target via cookies and they onboard through a LiveRamp or a Newstar, we're able to increase the match rate to those cookie pools by 172%. These are all big numbers. These aren't incremental changes. These are game-changing changes in ability to reach business people through digital advertising. And I'll wrap up with one case study that really brings this home. We had a company that was using a list of business people that they acquired through many of the list providers out there, D&B or Zoom Info. And they started their outbound calling effort, which is their traditional go-to-market BDR effort to get on the phone, smile and dial, and hopefully set up a demonstration to show this great SaaS product. Their cost per demo was $550. After being able to effectively launch a digital campaign, leveraging our B2B2C Identity Graph, and to go after the same targets, but by synchronizing an awareness building campaign, where they're able to put ads in front of those exact people they were going to reach out to over a period of time with informative information about their product, about their brand, to really build awareness. we were able to show that their total cost per demonstration went down to $312 from $550. This really highlights the effectivity of a B2B digital ad campaign in synchronized with traditional B2B go-to-market, email, phone outreach, and the rest. And that's really the benefit of leveraging a B2B2C identity graph. And we've got a great product called Versium to help you do just that. So with that, I'll wrap up today's presentation. Feel free to contact me directly. I'd be happy to answer any questions, talk to you in much more detail about some of the things we're doing to help B2B marketers more effectively reach their target audience. Or you can also contact Phil Ostner, who runs all of our sales and business development here at Versium. I hope you found this informative, and good luck in all your marketing activities, and I wish you all well.